Welcome to Neon Primer Marketing. In this series, Vega and Axon break down exactly how founders build AI content systems that run without them. One concept per lesson. Let's get into it.
Right now, somewhere in the world, there's this brilliant startup founder sitting at their desk.
Yeah.
And it's 2 o'clock in the morning. They're paying hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars a month for this whole suite of cutting edge AI tools.
Right. The dream stack.
Exactly. And they bought all this software because they were told it was like hiring a top tier executive team, but for a fraction of the cost.
The promise of total liberation.
Yes, they were supposed to delegate the heavy lifting, finally clear their calendar and, get back to that big picture visionary work. But instead, they're staring at a glowing screen, frantically and manually rewriting the exact output they literally just paid the machine to generate.
It is a devastatingly common scenario.
Right.
I mean, we expect automation to rescue us from the daily grind, right?
Yeah.
But when we look at the reality of modern content creation and business operations, the psychology of how we interact with these tools is entirely counterintuitive.
Yeah.
We think we're building automated systems to save ourselves, but we're frequently just engineering more sophisticated, much faster traps.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that brings us to the core mission of today's deep dive. We are looking at this incredibly punchy, highly revealing excerpt from a text called The Founderless Engine.
It's a great piece.
It really is. And if you are listening to this right now and you've ever tried to automate your workflow, if you have ever handed a task off to a piece of software only to find yourself agonizing over the results and double-checking its work hours after you should have logged off.
Which is almost everyone, honestly.
Exactly. Then this is going to hit very close to home. We want to figure out why adopting these advanced tools so often results in founders working harder, not smarter.
Right.
And more importantly, we are going to tear apart this text to uncover what a true content system actually looks like when the human isn't, standing in the way of the machine.
Yeah, the central diagnosis in the founderless engine is brutal, but it's so necessary. It really zeroes in on the illusion of productivity. The text states, and this is a direct quote, most founders build an AI content system and then become the system themselves.
Let's pull that apart, because on the surface, becoming the system sounds almost...
Good.
Yeah, like productive, like you were highly integrated with your tech stack.
Right, the ultimate synergy or whatever.
Exactly. But the text frames it as a total failure of operations. I mean, it lists out the gritty realities. These founders are still approving every single social media post.
Yep.
They are tweaking every newsletter caption. They are fundamentally the final decision maker for every microscopic output the AI generates.
Because they haven't removed their own attention from the workflow. I mean, think about the basic physics of a production funnel.
Okay.
Before AI, the top of the founder's funnel was narrow. It took them, say, an hour to write a solid article. The generation of the content and the approval of the content happened simultaneously in their own brain.
Right. It was a 1-to-1 ratio.
Exactly. Now, they introduce an AI tool. The top of that funnel suddenly blows wide open. The machine can generate 50 articles, tweets, and LinkedIn posts in 3 minutes.
But the bottom of the funnel, like the founder's actual capacity to review, edit, and approve things, that hasn't changed in size at all.
Not even a little bit.
It is still just one human brain with 24 hours in a day.
And that mismatch is the trap. What's fascinating here is that the AI did not remove the bottleneck. It just flooded the bottleneck with an unprecedented volume of inventory.
Wow.
The quote that captures this perfectly from the text is, the AI did not free them. It just gave them a faster way to be busy.
A faster way to be busy. That's so...
I know, right? Founders look at a dashboard filled with 50 drafted posts and experience this false dopamine hit of, wow, look how much we got done today.
But none of it is actually done.
Exactly. It is just sitting there in a draft folder, creating a massive pile of administrative debt that the founder now has to manually sift through.
I was thinking about the mechanics of this last night. And the best analogy I can come up with is, okay, imagine going to the appliance store and dropping $3,000 on a state-of-the-art washing machine.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Right. It has the smart sensors, the automatic detergent dispensers, the whole 9 yards. You bring it home, you hook it up to the plumbing, throw your dirty laundry in, and turn it on.
So far, so good.
But then, instead of walking away, you literally climb inside the metal drum with a scrub brush and a bar of soap, and you try to manually scrub the stains out of the shirts while the machine is spinning around you.
Oh, man.
You are doing the manual labor inside the automated machine.
It is an absurd visual, but operationally, that is precisely what is happening. The founder becomes this highly stressed component whirring around inside their own automated engine.
Yeah.
They are taking the friction of a blank page and just trading it for the friction of endless Slack notifications and approval workflows. The text is arguing that if you are still the final quality control checkpoint for every single word that leaves your company, you haven't built a system.
Right.
You have just built a very demanding robot boss that generates homework for you.
Generates homework, yes. Okay, so if climbing inside the washing machine is the absolute wrong way to handle automation, how does this text define a legitimate solution?
This is where it gets really prescriptive.
Yeah, because the language in the founderless engine gets almost uncomfortably specific here. It draws a hard line in the sand and says that a real content system runs completely without the founder in the daily loop.
And we have to linger on that phrase daily loop because it fundamentally challenges the traditional identity of the entrepreneur. The daily loop is the grind.
The hustle.
Exactly. It's the tactical execution. It is the checking of the drafts, the hitting publish, the scheduling.
But hold on, if you're asking a founder to completely step out of the daily loop, you are essentially asking them to hand over the steering wheel to an algorithm.
Yes.
And if I put myself in the shoes of someone listening right now who has built a brand from scratch, I mean, my brand is my specific voice. It's my bizarre sense of humor, is my specific taste in design.
Right.
If I step out of the day-to-day approval process, doesn't my company just instantly lose its soul? It feels like a recipe for churning out generic, soulless corporate garbage.
And that anxiety right there
Sure.
is exactly what keeps founders locked inside the washing machine.
Yeah.
It's a completely valid fear because we have all seen brands adopt AI and suddenly start sounding like a robotic encyclopedia.
Oh, yeah, using words like delve and leverage in every sentence.
Exactly. But the text anticipates this exact pushback, and it introduces a very specific concept to counter it. It clarifies that a real system runs without the founder, and here's the critical distinction. Not because the founder is removed from the brand, because the brand has been encoded into the system well enough that the system knows what to do.
Encoded. That is the magic word here.
It is.
But let's ground that, because encoded can sound like, a vague Silicon Valley buzzword. What is the actual mechanical difference between just prompting an AI and actually encoding a brand into it?
Let's use a tangible example. Say you run a daily newsletter for software engineers, and your brand's voice is known for being highly cynical, but ultimately optimistic.
Okay, tough balance.
Right. Prompting an AI is simply giving it a task. You type in, write a 300-word intro about the new software update, and make it sound cynical, but optimistic.
And the AI spits something out.
Yes, and you read it, you hate it because it sounds like a cartoon villain, and you spend 20 minutes rewriting it. You are prompting, but you are not encoding.
Because the AI doesn't actually know what your specific version of cynical looks like. It is just guessing based on internet averages.
Precisely. Encoding is an entirely different discipline. Encoding applies extracting the implicit rules inside your head and translating them into explicit logic gates for the machine.
Okay, so breaking it down.
Yeah. If you didn't like the AI's draft, why didn't you like it? Did it use exclamation points, which you hate? Did it sound too enthusiastic in the first sentence? Encoding is the grueling work of building a rule book that says, Rule 1, never use exclamation points. Rule 2, always start the first sentence with a self-deprecating observation about caffeine addiction.
Wow, okay.
Rule 3, cap the intro at exactly 150 words. Rule 4, if describing a software bug, use a metaphor related to plumbing.
That sounds like a psychological autopsy.
It really is.
You have to sit down and meticulously map out your own subconscious taste. You are essentially writing a hyper-specific standard operating procedure for your own personality.
It is incredibly difficult work. But that is the shift from being an operator to being an architect. When a founder is manually rewriting a post, they are relying on their gut feeling, their implicit heuristics.
Yeah.
Encoding forces you to make those heuristics explicit. Once you successfully install those rules into the system's architecture, the system doesn't need to ask for your approval anymore because it already possesses your decision-making criteria.
So it knows what you would do before it even does it.
Exactly. The essence of the founder isn't lost at all. It is preserved, crystallized, and distributed across the automated process.
So the authenticity of the brand no longer comes from the physical act of your fingers typing on the keyboard today. It comes from the fact that you successfully transferred your creative DNA into the system's rules yesterday.
Beautifully put.
But I mean, if extracting your own creative DNA is that agonizing and difficult, How is anyone actually learning to do this? Because throwing a bunch of software tutorials at a founder clearly isn't working.
No, not at all.
And this leads us to a really fascinating part of the text. It references a specific curriculum, a learning environment called Series 3.
Yes, the text brings up Series 3 to illustrate a completely unconventional approach to pedagogy. When we think of a curriculum for building AI systems, we naturally expect a syllabus full of technical instruction, right?
Sure, like how to structure a prompt, which API keys to use, how to connect Zapier.
Exactly. But the text explicitly states that the primary goal of Series 3 is not to teach founders how to use AI.
Which honestly stopped me in my tracks when I read it. If I am a founder struggling with an AI system and I enter a curriculum that refuses to teach me the technical how-to, I am going to demand a refund.
Right.
What is the point of a lesson on systems if it completely ignores the technical mechanics?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, to understand that, we have to look at human behavioral psychology. The technical mechanics of these tools, clicking the buttons, chaining the software together, are fundamentally easy.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyone can watch a 5-minute YouTube video and learn how to trigger an automation. The lack of technical skill is not why founders are failing. Founders are failing because they are blind to their own ego and their own dysfunctional habits.
They don't realize they are the problem.
Exactly. They sincerely believe that their micromanagement is a virtue. They call their 80-hour work week of manually rewriting AI drafts the hustle.
Right, they wear it like a badge of honor.
They view their bottleneck behavior as proof of their dedication to quality. You cannot teach a technical solution to someone who does not believe they have an operational problem. Wow. So the text argues that the actual goal of the Series 3 lessons is to simply show founders what it looks like when a system genuinely runs without human interference.
There is a line in the text that perfectly captures this method. Each lesson pulls back the curtain just enough to make the problem visible.
Yes.
It is not about handing them a new tool. It is about holding up a very uncomfortable mirror.
It operates almost like a professional intervention. By showing a fully functioning, perfectly encoded system running in the background, a system that maintains high quality without a human frantically pulling levers, it creates a jarring contrast for the founder.
And see it.
Right. They look at this pristine, self-sustaining operation, and then they look back at their own chaotic, notification-heavy workflow. Suddenly, their hustle doesn't look like dedication anymore. It just looks like massive inefficiency.
They realize they are standing inside the washing machine.
Yes. And until they have that realization, any technical tutorial you give them will just be used to build a faster washing machine to climb into.
Ooh.
The text is making a profound argument that visibility of the trap is the absolute prerequisite for escaping it. You have to shift the founder's internal monologue from, how do I do this manual task faster, to, why on earth am I still doing this task at all?
That makes total sense. You have to see the dysfunction clearly before you can map out your escape. But, that implies a massive gap between realizing you have a problem and actually deploying the solution.
Oh, a huge gap.
Because seeing a healthy system model in a lesson is one thing. Transitioning to a state where your own brand is perfectly encoded and running without you, well, that is a terrifying leap.
It is.
And the text concludes with a stark boundary line regarding where that final leap actually takes place. It says that while the lessons make the problem visible, the actual full deployment lives inside the community.
Which is a crucial separation between theoretical knowledge and practical reality.
But why? I mean, if I am a founder and I have just gone through these lessons, I've seen the light, I realize I am the bottleneck. I understand the concept of encoding my heuristic.
You're ready to go.
Yeah. Why can't I just take that clarity, retreat into my home office, lock the door, and spend the next 2 weeks building out my brand rules in total isolation? Why does the text insist that this deployment must happen within a community?
Because building these systems in a vacuum is a recipe for regression. Think about the reality of trying to encode your brand. As we discussed earlier, you are trying to translate highly subjective taste into objective rules.
Which is hard.
Very hard. Your very first attempt at doing this will be flawed. You will write what you think is a perfect rulebook, the AI will generate a post, and it will sound subtly wrong. It will sound robotic, or it will miss the specific cadence of your voice.
And if you are sitting alone in your home office when that happens, what is your immediate reaction?
Panic. Absolute panic.
You think, the system doesn't work. The AI just doesn't get my voice. And you immediately revert to your old habits. You grab the keyboard and start manually rewriting again.
Exactly. Without a safety net, the friction of iteration sends you running right back into the daily loop. But a community acts as the living ecosystem for iteration. It functions very much like open source software testing.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Right. When you deploy a piece of your encoded system within a community of peers who are attempting the exact same transition, you get immediate objective feedback loops.
You aren't just guessing in the dark.
Right. You can show a generated output to the community and say, this doesn't sound like me, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
And a peer can look at it and say, you missed a heuristic. Your humor relies on short, punchy sentences, but the AI is writing long, flowing paragraphs. You need to encode a rule about sentence length.
Wow, so they can spot the gaps in your own self-awareness?
Exactly. A community provides a laboratory where the theoretical concepts from the lessons are actually pressure tested against reality. Furthermore, it normalizes the anxiety of letting go.
That's huge.
When you are surrounded by other founders who are actively surviving and thriving outside of their own daily loops, it gives you the psychological permission to stay out of your own.
You need the collective courage to trust the machine you just built.
Precisely.
So what does this all mean? To pull all of this together and look at the complete arc of what the founderless engine is trying to tell us, we start with a deeply ironic modern tragedy. Founders are buying powerful automation tools only to accidentally engineer themselves into being high-speed bottlenecks, buried under an avalanche of drafts they still feel compelled to manually control.
And the only way out of that trap is a fundamental shift in identity. It is abandoning the ego-driven idea that your value comes from the sheer volume of manual labor you perform every day. It requires moving from the daily grind of prompting to the meticulous architectural work of encoding your taste into rules.
And crucially, you can't even begin that architectural work until you are willing to look in the mirror and acknowledge that your current workflow is actually broken.
Yeah.
You have to let the lessons show you a healthy system so the dysfunction of your own becomes visible. And finally, you have to accept that you cannot encode a brand in isolation. True deployment requires stepping into a community of practice where you can iterate, troubleshoot, and build the confidence to finally walk away from the keyboard.
It is a profound transition. It redefines what it means to be a creator or a business owner in the modern era. You are no longer the engine, you are the engineer who designs the engine.
Which leaves us with a massive, somewhat existential question to ponder as we wrap up today's discussion. I want you, listening right now, to think about your own daily tasks. If you do the ruling work we talked about today, if you successfully extract your heuristics, perfectly encode your brand's DNA into a system, and step completely out of the daily loop while the quality of your output remains pristine, what exactly is your irreplicable value going forward? Once you are no longer the machine, once your calendar is finally truly clear, who are you actually meant to be? Think about that the next time you feel the urge to manually edit an automated draft. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will see you next time.
If you want help running this audit on your own stack, that is exactly what we do. neonaliens.com.